Right, hello and welcome to the Midday News on VOP TV. I'm Moses Humphrey. In the headlines, Red Cross called for efforts to tackle hunger as over 26 million Nigerians risk starvation. SANU threatens to withdraw services over payment of 8 months withheld salaries to ASU members. Lagos government lifts ban on Road Transport Employers Association. And now the news in detail. The Nigerian Red Cross Society, NRCS, has raised the alarm that the country is faced with a serious humanitarian crisis that will soon erupt. It says that over 26 million Nigerians are at risk of hunger and malnutrition and called for a concerted efforts to address this crisis. Addressing newsmen in Abuja, the Secretary General of the Nigerian Red Cross Society, NRCS, Alhaji Abubakar Kende, said the NRCS is deeply concerned about the escalating food insecurity crisis in Nigeria, which threatens the lives and well-being of millions of vulnerable Nigerians. He said there is an urgent need for immediate attention to alleviate the far-reaching consequences. According to him, the organization is in partnership with a commercial bank to help raise funds locally to support the hunger crisis appeal designed to provide relief to those who are affected by the crisis. The head of delegation, International Federation of Red Cross, IFRC, country cluster delegation for Benin, Ghana, Nigeria, and Togo, Mr. Bupundi Toma, who highlighted Nigeria's current unprecedented hunger crisis, urged Nigerians to unite in supporting the Red Cross efforts to alleviate the suffering of vulnerable population. Now on to labor matters. Smiles are beginning to form on the faces of university lecturers as they have started receiving bank alerts of their withheld salaries. The lecturers, under the aegis of the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, had their 8-month salaries withheld for going on strike in 2022. The government of former President Muhammadu Buhari applied the no work, no pay rule when the strike by lecturers was elongated. In October 2023, President Bola Tinubu approved the release of 4 of the 8 months withheld salaries. Now, sources in the academic sector confirmed the development of the payments to newsmen in Abuja. The chairperson of ASU at the Federal University of Technology, Mina, Professor Bolahan Bolarin, confirmed that payment has started rolling in. Meanwhile, the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU, says only a few of its members received 2-month salaries from the federal government out of the 7.5 months withheld salaries. ASU National President, Professor Emmanuel Oshodeko, told journalists on Monday that they are still collecting data on the payment. His comments comes after President Bola Tinubu on October 2023 approved the release of 4 of the 8 months ASU withheld workers' salaries. Now, another round of unrest is looming in the public university system. The current threat is not from the Academic Staff Union, but from the Non-Academic Staff Union. Now, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, is not happy over government's exclusion of its members from the payment of the 8 months withheld salaries during the prolonged strike of 2022. Members of the Academic Staff Union of Universities also started receiving the arrears of the 8-month salaries yesterday. Now, Sanders said it would ground activities in universities across the country if the withheld salaries of its members were not paid. The salaries were withheld when the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari invoked the no work, no pay policy against ASU and SANU, who embarked on a strike that lasted 8 months in 2022. However, President Bola Tinubu in October 2023 approved the release of 4 of the 8 months to ASU. In other matters, members of the Major Energies Marketers of Nigeria said it will be illegal to negotiate and fix the cost of lifting fuel with members of the National Association of Road Transport Owners, NATO. Well, VOP TV reports that the tanker drivers on Monday parked their trucks, refusing to lift fuel over high cost of operations, causing queues at different filling stations in Abuja and Lagos. The NATO president, Yusuf Othman, had in a letter to truck drivers who are members of other unions and associations said NATO had made several efforts to secure negotiations for appropriate and commensurate freight rates for its operations from all authorities concerned in the industry, especially the major marketers, without any positive results. However, the major marketers said the decision of NATO to stop transporting fuel may not have much effect on its members, some of whom now have separate transporters. The executive secretary of the MEMEN, Clement Isong, in an interview published by the Punch newspaper, said the association does not have the power to negotiate the cost of transporting fuel, adding that the law does not permit that. Isong stated that members of MEMEN have negotiated the cost of lifting products with transporters of choice, saying that is what the law allows. Officials of Lagos Environmental Sanitation Corps, LAGESC, have arrested 16 miscreants suspected to be laying siege for innocent Lagosians on the Bolade pedestrian bridge in Oshodi. LAGESC has in recent time been enforcing the evacuation of miscreants from the bridges. Their activities on the bridges discourage pedestrians from using the footbridges as they lay siege and dispose passers-by of their valuables. The Corps Marshal of the agency, retired Major Olatubosun Olaniyi Cole, who confirmed the arrest, said that the criminals are in the habit of lurking around pedestrian bridges with intent to dispossess pedestrians of their belongings. Cole commended the collaboration of the Lagos State Task Force Chairman, National Union of Road Transport Workers, Oshodi Branch A, Comrade Ibrahim Olashewu, and Baba Oja of Oshodi Bolade, Mr. Sani Afiz Olarinwaju, in the success of the operation. Now, this piece of news will gladden the hearts of members of the Road Transport Employers Association of Nigeria in Lagos State. They are now free to operate without hindrance in the state. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has approved that the ban on the union be lifted. The special advisor to the governor on transportation, Mr. Sholagiwa, who announced the lifting of the ban, said the suspension was in furtherance of the state's quest to foster peace and smooth working relationships among union members in its transportation sector. He also announced the resolution of the Lagos State Parks and Garages Administration Committee, which was set up to manage parks and garage facilities in the state. A 23-year-old man, Aziz Akingbelu, is to die by hanging for killing an 11-year-old girl, Rokibat Odeyale, in Owode-Egba, in Obafemi Owode local government area of the state. Justice O.O. Stanley of the Ogun State High Court, sitting in Abeokuta, delivered the judgment. Akingbelu, a resident of Owode, was convicted on a 5-count charge of conspiracy, possession of firearms, manslaughter, attempted murder, and murder. Justice Stanley said that the prosecution proved its case beyond reasonable doubt. Akingbelu was said to have committed the offense on March 27, 2021 at about 6 p.m. at Owode-Egba in Obafemi Owode local government area. We'll take a break. When we return, we'll continue with more news stories. Now, 2 persons were feared dead and many others injured when violence broke out between 2 neighboring communities, Okpolo and Okutukutu, both in Yenagoa metropolis in Bayelsa State on Monday. The conflict was because of a protracted land dispute involving the ancestral boundaries of their communal land. The clash left many stranded as vehicular and commercial activities were halted for several hours following the violence between the two communities in the state capital. The youth president of Okutukutu community, Kester Wilcox, in an interview says it was the youths of Okpolo community that attacked Okutukutu and started destroying properties belonging to mostly strangers before those property owners mobilized themselves and also retaliated. He could not ascertain the number of casualties. The state's deputy governor, Senator Lawrence Ekurujakpo, in a statement issued by his media aide, Mr. Dobara Tasi, warned that the present administration would not condone a situation where individuals or communities resort to violence and physical attacks over territorial or land boundary disputes. More so when such matters are pending in the law court of competent jurisdiction. The former governor of Kwara State, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, says his invitation by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, on Monday was routine and procedural. Multiple reports talked about how former Kwara governor was at a Ilorin office of the anti-graft agency yesterday. But the former governor, in a statement by his chief press secretary, Wahab Oba, says he was in Ilorin to honor the invitation as he has always been doing and is still ready to do so. According to him, there is nothing unusual about the invitation by the anti-graft agency. He added that his visits on invitation to the agency's office today is in tandem with his readiness and preparedness to account for his stewardship. The Abuja Electricity Distribution Company has threatened to disconnect the federal seats of government, the presidential villa, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and key government establishments. It vowed to plunge them into darkness by February 28 if they fail to pay up their debts. The presidential villa and 85 federal government establishments are owing the electricity company the sum of 47.1 billion naira as at December 2023. The company said that it has issued a 10 days notice of disconnection to the affected organizations to pay up the debt or risk disconnection. A report released by the electricity company listed the Chief of Defense Staff, barracks, and military formations as topping the list of debtors, with over 12 billion naira followed by the Ministry of the Federal Capital Territory with a 7.5 billion naira, Ministry of Finance with over 5.4 billion naira, and the Niger State Governor Abuja Liaison Office with 3.4 billion naira. Others include Ministry of State for Petroleum, Presidential Villa, Ministry of Education, Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, and Nigeria Police Force, among others. Well, the priesthood orphanage in Karon Majigi village, Abuja, has been sealed, and 23 children between the ages of 1 and 14 rescued from it. It was sealed by the Federal Capital Territory Administration, FCTA. The children were believed to have been trafficked from Plateau State. The Mandate Secretary, Women Affairs Secretariat, FCTA, Mrs. Adedayo Benjamin Lani, disclosed this while handing over the children to the Plateau State Commissioner for Women Affairs, Mrs. Caroline Daffo, in Abuja. She said that investigation was ongoing to unravel the facts of the allegations. Mrs. Benjamin Lani said that the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, had authorized the Secretariat to profile and rectify orphanage operations within the nation's capital. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll delve into sports. Stay with us. Now in sports, England-born Luton Town players of Nigerian descent, Gabriel Osho and Elijah Adebayo, are both open to playing for Nigeria at the international level. While Adebayo confirmed his availability for Super Eagles in an interview with Times Magazine, David Doherty, UK-based NFF presidency aspirant, confirmed the availability of Osho. Now both players were born in England to Nigerian parents but have never made any appearance at the international level despite being eligible to play for England and Nigeria. They have been outstanding for Luton Town, who are battling to stay in the Premier League after gaining promotion to England's top flight division for the first time in the club's history in 2023. Preliminary draw for the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations will be held today at the Confederations of African Football headquarters in Cairo, Egypt. Now, CAF made this known in a statement released on its official website by its communications department on Monday. According to the governing body, following the conclusion of the 34th edition of the competition, the draw for Total Energies CAF AFCON Morocco 2025 preliminary round is set for Tuesday. It stated that the draw would be conducted at 1400 hours Egyptian time. And that's it on the midday news on VOP TV. But before we go, a recap of our major headlines. Red Cross calls for efforts to tackle hunger as over 26 million Nigerians risk starvation. SANU threatens to withdraw services over payment of 8-month withheld salaries to ASU members. Lagos government lifts ban on Road Transport Employers Association. And that's the VOP Midday News. Do well to follow us on YouTube. It's Voice of the People TV. And on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. I'm Moses Humphrey. Good afternoon.